Hello people of the web, and welcome back to another episode from the Vanilla High server. We start this week's episode somewhere completely different. Now, Hushbug is working on decorating the Guardian farm, and while I will be helping her whenever I can, there is an inevitability that there's going to be times where she just won't need help, or isn't online to delegate. So, I travelled about 3,000 blocks from our base to this swamp biome. Now, there's a few things that attracted me to this biome. The first of which is these beautiful flowers, which grow exclusively in swamps. So I plan to make a flower farm here. The other two things I'm considering doing here is an easy slime farm for when I'm in the area, and the big project would involve a little hut that's just over there in the background, which used to be the home of a witch, and could be turned into a pretty useful witch farm. Now, with me going back and forth between the base and here, the most sensible thing for me to do would be to set up a nether portal. Now, as you can see, the witch farm will be here, so I don't want to build anything too close to this. So we'll probably build a portal on that little island over there. Oop! Sorry, pig. I didn't actually mean to do that. Yeah, this is as good a spot as any. Just cut down the trees. I forgot how loud vines are when the leaves break. It took me a moment to work out what the noise was. And this is the reason why I always keep a flint and steel in here. There. Now I won't go through it because then it will generate a portal in the nether and not necessarily at the right height. So what I will do is use my guidebook to go home and make a tunnel, build a portal in the nether. Just make sure they link up. Now I've travelled along the x-axis and now I need to do like 400 blocks in the z-axis. Seeing as I've dug a tunnel that's several hundred blocks long, I'm hoping that I've done my maths correct and this actually links up. Yep, that worked quite nicely. Right, so I now have a quickish way back and forth. Now, where am I going to build this farm? Our tunnel that goes through to the swamp also happens to go most of the way to the end portal and our mining desert. So I figured now was about time that I iced the road. And I need to put some signs up because I'm pretty sure that I will forget this, and even more certain that Hushbug will forget where this tunnel goes to. So, and just for symmetry, now this is one of the shorter tunnels and I've just about managed it with over a stack left. Now the other tunnels are a lot longer. This one only goes to the mining desert. I have a funny feeling that I'm not going to be able to do ice all the way down the path to the swamp. Because just up here is the turning for the swamp, and I've gone 2 blocks in. I think it's about 400 blocks long. Yes, I'm fully aware that my plan was to make a flower farm, but I allowed myself to get distracted making this path, as I'm sure that I will be making this journey many times, so it makes sense to help speed up my travel. Although I was hoping that my ice would get me a little bit further than there. On a complete side note, I was just jumping off the skybase and I spotted something in the water which I've never seen before. Okay, there was a fish swimming all the way up here. That's now dead. Oops. That was going to be impressive until I killed him. I could have seen how long he lasted. Seeing as we're around here, have you noticed that the path has now been worked on? Hushbug did this. I really like it, including melons, which I never would have thought to use in the path. But yeah, it kind of works. like it. Especially this section here where it goes down towards the beast ship up again. She's done a cracking job. And now it's about time that I go and build that flower farm. So I've loaded up my inventory with stuff that I should need to get it done. The only things that I might need over and above what's here, I've got in my redstone shulker, which I can grab out of my ender chest anytime. So, time to make that trip. And this is how you travel quickly. Whoop. Now that I've cleared all of the trees from the area, it's started raining, so I'm getting wet. And it's dark, and so we haven't got a particularly picturesque view for the video, so I'm sorry about that. Now, as you can see, I've cleared all the trees and done a little bit of landscaping, so that I have a flat area to work from. I also have a video up on the other screen from K1 Inc. with a really good tutorial for a flower farm. Now apparently the first step for me is to create I think it's 15 by 11 hole, so I shall get that done. Technically speaking, that's the hole. However, I don't like it being raw stone, so see what we can do about that. There we go, that's slightly less offensive. Now to actually build the working parts that make it a flower farm, because currently this is just a hole in the ground. In theory, that should be all the redstone done, so I just need to put some grass in between. And it's finished. Plus, seems to work. Now, these flowers are one of my favourites, and I think it's Hushbug's favourite too. Plus, it's quite a useful one for dyes, as it gives a cyan dye, which otherwise would require lapis, which is not a resource we have a great amount of. The best thing about this design is all we have to do is switch off with the lever. It will run its final cycle, and then in theory, if I've done this correctly, yep, it's just lag. There's a lot of people online today. And then it should turn itself off. Oh, I was thinking that's not many orchids, and just realised it's because they're still coming in. With the amount of time it takes hoppers to pick things up and pass them through to the chest, it's probably easiest just to turn the machine off and collect them, rather than waiting around for them to feed through the hoppers. But I suppose it depends on what we're doing in the area, and the buttons there is an option. I think that is a good loot, and I might get Hushbug to come over and see what she thinks. I dragged Hushbug all the way to the swamp biome, and she tested it and seemed very pleased. She also activated it for a little while and grabbed several stacks of blue orchids. I was correct, they are her favourite plant. Now, she's done the stairs here, which means I now know where I'm going to build my sorting system. And the first thing I figured I best make space for is a chest here to offload items. Now, this is because when you use the Guardian farm, you inevitably pick up some fish, shards, and crystals. So I wanted a way of offloading all the excess that you pick up before you go back home through the portal. So, an input chest made sense. Which just means I need to make a dispensing system, and then that can dispense down into the water stream that will be coming from there to the sorting system in this wall. I'm quite pleased that I've finished the sorting system for the shards, crystals, and various fish types that we get from the farm. And since finishing that side, I've started on this side, and I thought I'd check how many shards we had, and it was quite worrying to see that the farm is incredibly efficient, especially as I'm not even killing these guardians, they're just dying from entity cramming. Yeah, these chests are going to be full in no time. But I'm okay with that. There's a void thing at the end, so if those chests all get filled up, they just go into lava. Hopefully Hushbug is okay with these designs. I've just laid them out and it needs her approval before we seal it off. But while I wait, I shall make a cup of tea. I had my cup of tea, and Hushbug's still not around, so I got busy and I've done most of the sorting system for all of these blocks. Now there's 2 silos for each type of block, and the indicator lights will show when each of the silos is full. So when we're half full on prismarine, that light will shine on. And then if we have too much, that one will shine on. Although there is no overflow protection in the way of destroying items like I did on the other side, because this is all manually fed via these chests, and we shouldn't be putting trash in those chests anyway, so if they don't fit in, they come out in these chests here, or at least they will do once I've done all the redstone. But my next thing to do is to sort out these filters up here, which should be fairly straightforward. What I need to do is put some repeaters in like so. Then, actually best not standing underneath there, because if I stand under there and place all the blocks, I can't get out. There goes there. Then we just have a shelf here. Da 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 da. Redstone dust. And these will be our filter hoppers, which means 4 slots with renamed items per one, plus I need to put 1 of prismarine block, prismarine there, prismarine, brick, dark prismarine, and sea lanterns. And now those filters are done, I just need to find a sensible way to get the items from the input chest to here, which will be an item stream. Which, if my counting is correct, should be from here. Yeah. Dispenser, item stream, up, along. Yeah, that makes sense. And I thought I was doing so well. The water stream pushes things up to here, shoots along here, and then will go into its first available hopper, which seems perfectly sensible, apart from the fact we have 8 things to select from, and then of course the water source runs out and I need a sign. Which means, of course, if things go in that don't get picked up by hoppers, as I'll show here, they shoot along the water, most of them, and they get caught on the last hopper. Which, oops. And yeah, that shouldn't get stuck there, but I think that's just because I was standing in the wrong place. If I do it from here, none of them get caught on that first hopper. Some of them get caught on the last one. Which means I messed up, and I need to redesign this somehow. So, give me a minute. With some really poor engineering, what I've done is move one of the filters over just by 2 blocks, and then I can stretch the water out. So now's the time to test it and cross my fingers hoping that it works. So I just need to pick something that I haven't got in the system. So let's go with 23 dirt. So in theory that will get spat out by the dispenser into the water stream, up, along and down, which we should be able to see without picking any of them up and interfering in the results. Yep, so they shoot along here and they drop off and in the hoppers. Looks like they've all gone. So 23? 23! I am victorious. I'm amazing. I'm not as rubbish as I thought. Hushbug is now online. I've given her the quick tour of the sorting system and she seemed pleased. At least I hope she's pleased and not just being polite. Nah, she's never worried about offending me. Now, she's building an aquarium thing over here and has asked me not to help put the water in, but to put the water in. So, I'm going to have to struggle to do that for a bit. Thankfully, there's a beacon just the other side of that wall. Now, I filled up these top 2 layers of water so that if we strip out the single layer of stone underneath, yes, this all becomes flowing water, but we can put kelp in here to make them all sources. Or possibly might be able to put a source in the corner and they spread. I'll try the source in the corner and see whether it spreads first, and then we'll see. Although I think we're going to have issues because the ground isn't flat, so the water won't spread in an ideal way. So we'll see what I can do. I managed to be helpful. Hushbug was a little unsure of the glass, as streaks on clear glass in the default texture pack are a little bit harsh. However, the textures in 1.14 that are due to release today, in fact, are a lot less severe. And after explaining to Hushbug how to install the texture pack, she and I both looked at it and we're quite happy with it. It's a lot less noticeable. Now, these aren't quite in line with the latest proposals, but very close. This room is huge, and I expect it will take a while to complete, but there's no rush here, and normally Hushbug is at her very best when she has time to experiment and explore her ideas. So I'm going to wrap up the video here. The Guardian Farm is now fully functional, we have an unlimited supply of blue orchids, and I made a solid start on icing the nether roads. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Likes and comments help tremendously and are all greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye now.